An important concept to understand in React is which way data should flow. And to show you this, we're going to use this little demonstration here. And then also, I'm going to link the React docs here to where basically it shows an example in which you have some child component using a use effect to effectively send some data from the child component back up to the parent component. And then React mentions in React, data should flow from the parent components to child components. When you see something wrong on the screen, you can trace where the information comes from by going up the component chain until you find which component passes the wrong props or has the wrong state. When child components update the state of their parent components and effects, the data flow becomes very difficult to trace. Since both the parent and child need the same data, the parent component should fetch that data and pass it down to the child instead. And then they show the parent component getting the data from the API and passing it down to the child. So that's kind of the overall concept here, is that in React, if you find yourself in a child component trying to pass data up to a parent component, that's probably a mistake. And it would probably be much better to fetch that data in a parent component and pass it down to the child. So in the running application here, you can see we basically just have this product search feature to where I can search for different products here. And it basically does like a little bit of a autocomplete sort of search bar here. And then when looking at the code for this, you see we have our products page. And on our products page, we render a search bar as well as a products list. So this is our overall products page, and we have our search bar and this product list. Now, within our product list, this is currently where we are fetching our data, and then we are calling the set products with our data. So in our products page, we have products and set products. We pass set products into our products list component, and then our products list component effectively sets that parent data. So our products list, which is a child component, sets the products after we're kind of mimicking it, fetching it here, but you might actually hit an API to get this data. It sets the products within this use effect, effectively setting the products in the parent component, and then it renders out the products list. And then the search bar is basically fine. It just functions like a search bar. But kind of the core issue is that the products list fetches the products and then sets them. And those are the products that are being set in the products page. And a much better way to solve this is if I go to my /products page, we have our products page here, but we actually just get the data here within the products page. So in this example, we have a use effect. If you're using Next.js, you could fetch this directly and you wouldn't need to make this a use effect here. But in basic React, you're probably going to do this in a use effect. And then we set the products on mount in that use effect. And then all we have to do is pass the products down to our products list as well as our search bar. And then our products list is much more simple here to where it just receives the products and renders out the list. So now data is just flowing from this parent component into the child components rather than passing a function into the child component that is then going to set data in its parent component. Now, you can see that both of these work. Like this is our child to parent example to where you can see like the search bar works just fine. And if I go to /products, this also works just fine as well. Both of them have the same overall end result. But as React mentioned, when you start passing data from parent to child, it becomes much more tricky to kind of track that data and can just result in issues. So I know this is a pretty basic concept, but if you're newer to React, or even, I have developers on my team that focus on like Python, but sometimes they do some React stuff, and I'll see them sometimes doing stuff like this because they kind of understand how like use effect works and stuff like that, but maybe miss some overall concepts of React. So hopefully this is maybe just a refresher for you, or if you're newer to React, hopefully this kind of helps you understand that if you are passing data from child to parent, it's probably a mistake. And the solution to that's pretty easy. Just fetch that data in the parent component and then pass it down to the components that need it. And generally, good rule of thumb is If you have multiple components that need data, then fetching that data from the closest ancestor to those components is probably a good idea. So, for example, if we had a component that was higher up than our products page, well, we wouldn't need to fetch our data in the products page parent and then pass that down to the products page and then pass it down to the products list and search bar. Products page is the closest ancestor to search bar and products list, and we could just fetch it in products page here. So in React, just make sure that data is flowing from parent to child, and you should be good to go. So thanks for tuning into this, and I'll see you in that next one.